This is what happens to the rubber parts inside a carburetor over a period of time when they come in contact with petrol and the newly released controversial ethanol blending, or simply E20 fuel. And how much does it cost to replace all the necessary parts inside the carburetor? And as you guys have seen, we have used all the genuine spares from the Suzuki. Brace yourself because you will not be able to handle it. Hey everybody, welcome to Room Brothers, to another episode of our Suzuki Gixxer build, where we are customizing and modifying a 150cc motorcycle that's 8 years old so that it matches to the times and seasons and the requirements that we are living in 2025. And the best part is we are not doing this in a service center or a third-party workshop. Rather, I am doing this project sitting in the comfort of my own home with my own tools on my own motorcycle. Nothing gets better than that. Projects like this always excites me because I get to learn a lot, develop my skill and my knowledge on machines, whether it's a car or motorcycle. Especially in today's day and age where social media influencers and content creators who have zero knowledge about machines or automobiles in general get to speak about automobiles and their reviews, and unfortunately people are listening to them and public is being misled in the wrong direction. And if you guys find this channel worth watching, then do subscribe and follow me on Instagram and YouTube, which allows me to make more of such content and help build a strong automotive community. In this episode, we are going to talk about carburetors. And yes, I have made dedicated episodes regarding this vast topic, like what are carburetors, how relevant are carburetors in 2025, how to disassemble a carburetor, and then how to assemble it back. Each of these episodes, I have tried to keep it short and sweet and precise so that it becomes informative and engaging to you guys. And you can find all the links up here with the quick thumbnails posted right beside me just for quick reference. And I suggest you guys to watch all these videos so that you get to understand what is carburetors and how do I take care of them. It doesn't matter if you have a carburetor on your car or a motorcycle. And in this episode, we are going to specifically see the parts that you need to replace inside the carburetor which goes bad over a course of time. And how much does it cost to service a carburetor in 2025? I'm going to share it at the end, so stay tuned. And in the next episode, I'm going to show you the effects of E20 or ethanol on an automobile, the damages it does to a machine, whether it's a motorcycle, car, heavy duty vehicle, or any other machine that uses fuel in today's day and age. And I get to see this in the real time while working on this Suzuki Gixxer SF project, where I have examined the insides of the fuel tank and even the carburetor. As the introduction of E20 fuel in India has created a lot of chaos and confusion in the minds of the consumers, because very few people in today's day and age are talking about the real issues happening in the automotive industry who are from the automotive industry. So without wasting any further time, let's get into this episode, open the carburetor and let's see what we find inside. So just before we start to dismantle the carburetor, I want to show you these things which is necessary while assembling or disassembling any part of a machine, whether it's a car or a motorcycle. Now all the screwdrivers that you see here are designated to be used for specific purposes, and in this way you can protect the machine for longer periods of time without getting anything damaged. So most of the authorized or the third-party workshops use just a couple of screwdrivers to unscrew or screw any of the fasteners. So we commonly see these two types of screwdrivers. This one is called the Phillips and this one is called the slotted or the flathead. And in common layman terms, people usually call this the plus and this as minus just because of these shapes. So without getting too technical or deep into this topic, just in the area of Phillips, you have three types of screwdrivers for designated purposes. Even though all these three are Phillips, but using the wrong screwdriver will damage the face of this screw. As we move along, I will show you how the previous mechanics who have serviced the carburetor have damaged the face of the screws. And upon closer inspection, I can tell you that this carburetor during its course of 8 years being on the road has just been opened for a couple of times, which is not recommended, but in a way this also becomes an advantage for me as it prevents the important parts getting too damaged because of the assembly and disassembly.
I'll tell you why. Even though these two are Phillips, but if I place this Phillips in the slot, see how loose it is? This would strip the face of the screw. But whereas in this case, if I use the other screwdriver, this would perfectly fit in the face. You see how it's not slipping even though I'm trying to move it? So this holds the face of the screw and the screwdriver perfectly without stripping it. And this is what I mean when I say you need to use the right tool for the right job.
So let's start disassembling.
As you can see here, there are 3 grooves and the E-ring has been placed on the middle one by the manufacturer to make sure that the air-fuel mixture ratio is neutral, not on the richer side or on the leaner side. And if you have a racing or high-end carburetor, it will have more grooves so that you can adjust the mixture. So without confusing you guys, let me explain it in simple terms. If you drop this E-ring to the bottom position, then the needle in the diaphragm will lift and it will make the mixture richer. And if you place the E-ring on the topmost of the groove, then the needle will drop down and it will make the mixture leaner. So based upon your requirement, you can tune the carburetor, whether you are an off-roading person or a highway cruiser or a city commuter. So the richer mixture means lower mileage and leaner mixture means high mileage. Just keep those layman terms in your mind. I'm not changing the position of the E-ring because I'm satisfied with the mileage and the mixture ratio. Now push the new ring till it sits flush with the E-ring at the top. And if you find any difficulties, you can use small amount of petrol. And the reason for me to changing the old one is this has 8 years of age and the rubber has become hard and it's falling apart. Now observe each and every part, and if you find any excessive wear and tear or damage, replace them, including the needle. Now take the needle and slowly place it in the center hole. Make sure that the washer stays on top. Make sure that the spring is properly seated in the upper part and then place it nicely on top of the needle. So make sure that the spring and the upper plastic part sits properly in the bindle of that groove, and take the small Phillips and push it down and rotate it clockwise and locks it. Let me repeat again. Clockwise locks it, anti-clockwise opens it. So the grooves on the plastic should interlock on the 3 sides. This is the locking position. And just to make sure that the spring is seated properly, just push it down a little bit and see the spring action. So this one is seated perfectly. As these are small parts, be gentle and patient with them while installing. So check the condition of the rubber diaphragm and the plunger. If any excessive wear and tear or cracks, replace them. I might replace the plunger in the next service. But as for now, this looks fine. So make sure that the needle is properly seating at the center hole that you see right here. And gently push it down. Now there is an opening that is given by the manufacturer on the diaphragm, and this opening should properly seat at the groove that is provided right here. So let me rotate the diaphragm. And that's it. And make sure that the rubber diaphragm sits flush on the face of the carburetor. There goes the spring. And the upper part of the carburetor indent should properly sit in the middle of the spring. Just give the screws a quick nib and don't over tight them. Now changing the o-ring of the drain screw. Now this is the old o-ring of the drain screw that we are replacing. It's 8 years old and it's falling apart. So let's replace it with the new one. Replacing the o-rings of the idle screw. So you have here the bottom o-ring, the washer, spring, the idle screw itself, and then the top o-ring. So we are changing the top o-ring and the bottom o-ring. Just make sure that all these parts are in good condition, and if you find any excessive wear and tear or damage, then replace these. Mine are in very good condition, so I'm just replacing the o-rings. Now I have already explained in my previous videos how you're supposed to screw down and set the idle screw. There is a process to it. So all you have to do is, while removing it, you have to remember the position where this screw is at. And in the previous video, I have made a marking here, as you can see, this one. So that is where the positioning of this screw head was. So now all I have to do is screw it down to the bottom and then unscrew it 2.5 turns back. That is what I have counted while I was disassembling the carburetor in the previous video. And if you need any minor adjustment, you can do it after you have fitted it on the machine. The screw has now touched the bottom, and from now you have to unscrew it 2.5 turns and match the mark that we have made here. So remember this position closely. Half a turn, 1 turn, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Just to make it convenient, I am opening the bottom section of the carburetor because we need to change the parts inside too. And this is what I was talking earlier. The mechanics who tried to service the carburetor earlier have damaged the face of the screws. You can see right here and there. So I have already ordered the new screws. I'll replace them. Now why did this happen? Because they have used the wrong screwdriver. Now let's replace the rubber gasket of the bottom chamber of the carburetor. Again, before installing, check the position of the float pin and the float screw and make sure that they are in the right position. I have already explained all this in a detailed manner in the 2 previous videos of the carburetor service that we have done, and I will provide the links up here. So we are not going to go there. As I have mentioned previously, the lower chamber screws have been damaged by the previous mechanic, so we are replacing them with the new ones. Now, just to be on the safer side, I'm also changing the O-ring of the TP sensor which is inside, and for that you need T27 Torx Allen or bit. Again, don't strip any screws, just be gentle with them. Old carburetors doesn't have TP sensors, but these new ones do. Now, if your carburetor doesn't have a TP sensor, you can skip this part. Now, this is the TP sensor, and here you have the O-ring, and upon closer inspection, I think it's best to replace this O-ring as well. Now, check and inspect the inner and the outer assembly of the TP sensor and clean them thoroughly before reinstalling them. And the installation process is you place the TP sensor right in the position matching the groove and gently press it down. Inspect the screw and the washers and install them. Give it a nice and firm nip and don't over tighten it. Now, to install the TP sensor accurately, remember the position where you have removed the screw by placing a marking somewhere around here from the TP sensor to the body, and match it while reinstalling it, just like I did. While we are at it, I'm also replacing this rubber O-ring which goes beneath the fuel tank, as this one is also falling apart.
As you guys have seen, now the carburetor is serviced, restored and customized wherever necessary. And this carburetor is as good as of a new carburetor from a factory. And no one will be able to tell that this is 8 years old. And how much does it cost to replace all the necessary parts inside the carburetor? And as you guys have seen, we have used all the genuine spares from the Suzuki. Brace yourself because you will not be able to handle it. Now this has costed me just 350 rupees in 2025, and if I also include the price of the diaphragm, as I said I would replace in the next service, the total cost would be just 500 rupees. Imagine 500 rupees to service a carburetor in 2025, and compare this to a fuel injection machine which is 10 to 15 times more because of the involvement of sensors and electronics. If you ask me, I would prefer a carburetor any day over a fuel injection machine. Not that I have anything against fuel injection machine, but just comparing the service cost and the replacement of spares, I would prefer a carburetor. That's all for today's episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, ride hard, drive safe, eat healthy, live right and do good. The mantra of Room Brothers. Peace.